Welcome back. More on the imminent appointment of Ange Postecoglou as Nottingham Forest boss. He's arrived at the Forest training ground after agreeing a deal to take over the club barely 12 hours after the sacking of Nuno Espirito Santo. Former Forest striker Rob Earnshaw summed up what's been a hectic morning at his old club.
First of all, wow, Nuno gets sacked. Second of all, wow, Ange is now going to be the new manager. Very quick, very sharp, making the decisions. But I just, I mean, listen, put it this way. It's not going to be boring, and it's going to be a fun ride at Nottingham Forest, as it continues to be. So it's incredible, incredible. But I would say, I think Ange is a very good manager. Yeah. And I think he's going to take a lot of lessons from being sacked, from everything that went on at Tottenham. Yes, he won, but the process of how it went about, I think he's going to learn from. So I think Nottingham Forest might just have somebody who's ready for that job.
Postecoglou has a tough act to follow at Forest. Nuno is the club's most successful ever Premier League manager and the only one with a win percentage above 40%. He's also, of course, got them back into Europe. Earnshaw says his departure doesn't have much to do with his managerial ability.
I'm still shocked because, one, how well Nuno Espirito Santo has done at Nottingham Forest. Second season, went from fighting relegation, they stay up. Next season, the favourites to go down? No. He goes to take them to Europe, first time in 30 years. And when he does that, I mean, he's got the freedom of the city. And then the comments in the summer, you can see a little bit of disruption. Obviously, Edu comes in. I just thought it's still going to blow over. Because you look at the so-called arguments after the Leicester game, the owner comes on the pitch, he looks as if he's arguing with the manager in plain sight, in front of the media, and it kind of just blew over because of the results, because of everything, what was going on. And you just thought, it's another one. It's another one that will kind of blow over with results, with conversations, but clearly something's changed.
Yeah, something has indeed changed, and changed quickly, because as Rob Earnshaw alluded to, it's been an eventful tenure for Nuno at Forest, but a largely successful one. Well, Nuno's left Forest suddenly. Well, he joined in a hurry too. He was appointed in December 2023, one day after Steve Cooper's sacking. Drama started early. First game against Bournemouth, he was furious, had a red card for Willy Boly.
Everybody realizes that it's a bad decision, a very bad decision of the referee. We have to be fair and not disguise things when they are so clear.
Things started to pick up. Nuno got the best out of Chris Wood, whose hat-trick got them a Boxing Day win at Newcastle. 4 days later, he got his first home win, Forest's first against Manchester United for nearly 30 years.
Nottingham Forest fans get everything they desired for Christmas. What a start for the new man Nuno.
The rest of that season didn't go so well. A 4-point deduction for PSR breaches left Forest in a relegation battle.
The reality is that we are in the relegation zone. So who are we to say that is fair or unfair?
Forest only won 2 games out of 15 in a tense season. All came to a head at Goodison Park. They were denied 3 penalties. And remember that club tweet, quote, VAR was a Luton fan.
We act like this as a club because we want to get things right. We don't want bad referees.
They needed to win on the last day to ensure survival, but did just that to get another go at the Premier League. And they certainly made the most of that second chance. A first win at Anfield since 1978 gave early indications of what was to come. The records kept coming. Nuno won at Old Trafford again, then beat his former club Wolves, the first Forest boss to win 6 in a row since the legendary Brian Clough.
And Nuno is orchestrated something special for Nottingham Forest at the moment.
Nuno matched Clough again, a 7-0 win against Brighton, their biggest win since 1991. At the start of April, another win over Manchester United gave them an 8-point cushion on the Champions League places. But less than 6 weeks later, the first signs of trouble. Forest owner Evangelos Marinakis confronted Nuno on the pitch after a 2-2 draw with Leicester.
Football is emotions. it's difficult to control, especially the day that we had so much, again, expectation.
Forest had to settle for the Conference League, later upgraded to the Europa League by a court ruling. And over the summer, things began to escalate. Nuno repeatedly hinting at a falling out with Marinakis.
We are very far, very, very far from where we should be. This season, not so well. Our relations has changed.
A 3-0 home defeat to West Ham 10 days ago proved to be his final game, and reports of tension behind the scenes only grew.
And from your perspective, you'll be here in 2 weeks' time?
Look, Johnny, you don't need to make that question. You know me already. I don't only think what I have to do, but I must do it, everything in my power to help the boys.
But that power was ended late last night, and it looks like Forest will travel to the Emirates under former Spurs boss Ange Postecoglou. And here is Ange Postecoglou arriving at Forest training ground. He has agreed a deal to become Forest's new manager. We are awaiting official confirmation. Ange Postecoglou watches his new team, Nottingham Forest, train after agreeing to become the club's new head coach. Hi there, welcome along to Lunchtime Live. What a dramatic day at Nottingham Forest. Nuno Espirito Santo's successful era is over, with an announcement on Postecoglou replacing him expected today. We'll be live for their training ground, and we'll speak to Alan Smith shortly. Only one place to start though. The Nuno Espirito Santo era is over, and the Ange Postecoglou one has already begun. The former Spurs boss is at the club's training ground, where he's been having a look at his new squad. Anton Tolui is there too, and delighted to say we can speak to him now. Anton, good afternoon again. Postecoglou is in the building behind you. How close are we to this being announced then?
Very close. Very, very close indeed. As you were saying, Ange Postecoglou has been in the training ground for the last couple of hours. He would have watched training, we think was taken by under-21 lead coach Warren Joyce today. We've actually seen some of Nuno Espirito Santo, sort of former backroom staff, leave today, including former assistant Rui Barbosa as well. But it's interesting enough that Ange Postecoglou is in there. We know discussions have been taking place today around the length of his contract, which we understand to be 2 years until the end of the 2027 season. And also, we understand that he wants to bring in 4 members of his backroom team that he worked with at Tottenham, including the likes of Rob Burch and Nick Montgomery and Mile Jedinak as well, obviously the former Crystal Palace midfielder. Those sort of finalising, those little details are being finalised as we speak. Expect an announcement very soon from Nottingham Forest, because Ange Postecoglou is going to be their new head coach.
Yeah, this is all moving very quickly, Anton, but we should just touch on his predecessor, as he now is, Nuno Espirito Santo. I mean, 10 days ago, Nuno hinted that he expected to stay. How have things unravelled so fast?
He didn't just hint, David. He came out after the game against West Ham. They lost 3-0 in his press conference and said, yeah, I expect to be in charge after the international break. The problem was he was waiting for a meeting with owner Evangelos Marinakis that never happened. Obviously, Nuno went public, didn't he, with the fact that he wasn't happy with the transfers that were coming in, that they weren't in pre-season. They were only came in towards the end of the window. And obviously, he was worried about his relationship with Evangelos Marinakis seeming more distant, because since the arrival of Edu as the sort of head of world football here in Nottingham Forest. So, interestingly enough, that all came to a head, and it's expected to be a cordial meeting was supposed to take place during the international break. That didn't happen because Marinakis took his time to think about what he wanted with the club, looked at the club's results, and obviously, yes, Nottingham Forest are preparing for their first season in Europe for almost 30 years, but they were hoping to be in the Champions League, but they only got 8 points from the last 8 league games of the season. They obviously, the last game was a 3-0 defeat at home to West Ham as well. Concerns about that, wanted to see maybe a change in the playing style as well. Forest went big on forwards. They've got 9 forwards. You could argue put out 3 different front threes in Nottingham Forest this season. They want an attack-minded coach to take Nottingham Forest 3.0 in the Premier League era. We've seen Steve Cooper, we've seen the Nuno Espirito Santo team. Now they want a new manager to come in and just kind of shake things up. So Nuno Espirito Santo was waiting for a meeting that never happened because the owner eventually decided he wants to go in a new direction.
Well, I think you touched on it there, Anton, but it sounds like the reason, or one of the reasons he's gone for Postecoglou is this attacking kind of brand of football that Marinakis wants to see played?
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of it, to be honest. Look, Marinakis has already kind of been public with the fact that he appreciates the work of Postecoglou. They were obviously in the same place in Athens in July when Postecoglou was given an award for being the first Greek-born coach to win a European trophy. So yeah, obviously there is an appreciation, mutual appreciation between the two. But Marinakis obviously is used to making good footballing decisions. He's led Olympiakos to a footballing dynasty in Greece. So he wants to sort of take Nottingham Forest to the next level. He said at the Europa League draw, he doesn't just want to go deep in the competition, he wants to win it. Obviously, Ange Postecoglou won the competition with Tottenham last season. And also, yeah, look, Nottingham Forest, they finished 7th in the Premier League last season, a fantastic result for them overall, but they did so only averaging just over 40% possession. And I think Mimona wants to see, and Edu Gaspar wants to see sort of a different sort of tactic, a different just enjoyment of, and sort of different type of football coming in at the football club now as well. So I think that's a huge style and sort of different sort of football philosophy is exactly what's wanted at the football club, which is why they've gone for the former Celtic and Spurs man.
Yeah, and what better way for a former Spurs manager to start than at Arsenal away, Anton? I'm just wondering, a lot of managers might have waited, maybe get this game out the way and then joined on Monday perhaps. What do you make of Ange Postecoglou going, yep, you know, we'll take it now, straight into that game first up?
I think anyone that sort of even vaguely knows Ange Postecoglou will know he will be raring to go. He won't want to sit on his hands and sort of, sit out a game. He fancies this squad to be a very, very good one. They spent around £180 million in the transfer window to try to do better this season. Yet they're coming off a defeat to the team that at that point were pointless in West Ham in the Premier League. So he's looking at this squad going, yeah, fancy my chances. Give me 2 days prep with them. I know half the team are away on international duty, but yeah, I think I can do this. He's not a man that backs down from a challenge. He's not a man that backs down from reports. He's not a man that backs down from criticism. Ange Postecoglou will want to take on this challenge head on. Like I said, surely he probably wants to take on his old foes in Arsenal. He doesn't have a win against Arsenal in the Premier League. Played 4, lost 3, drawn 1. He will be desperate to put that right at 12:30 on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, can't wait for it. Anton, thank you very much indeed. So, is Postecoglou the right man for Forest? Well, for more on this story, we can speak to former Arsenal and England striker Alan Smith. Alan, very good afternoon to you. Firstly, surprised about Nuno Espirito Santo, or was it inevitable after he spoke out about the chairman?
It seemed that way, Dave, didn't it, at the time? And then, Nuno was trying to smooth the waters a little bit. But when he spoke out in such a forthright manner, you knew that all was not well, to say the least, behind the scenes. And I think it was going to be hard to repair that relationship. Marinakis, obviously a very emotional type of guy. We saw that on the pitch after that Leicester game. And obviously there's been a major breakdown in the relationship. One that just couldn't be repaired. So, Forest fans, they will not forget what he achieved there. 7th place finish, getting them back into Europe after all that time. So he goes with the fans' best wishes, and you wonder where he'll end up next. But he did a fantastic job at the City Ground.
Yeah, no question. Does Ange Postecoglou make sense as an appointment then?
Yeah, I mean, when we saw Nuno's words and you're thinking he's going to leave the club, so many people mentioning Postecoglou, the connection, the Greek connection. He's out of work, looking for a job. So it seemed like a good fit, a natural one, an obvious one, maybe you could say. And so it has proved. So, he hasn't been out of the game too long, has he, Big Ange? And he's back at it. But interesting, contrasting styles of the two managers. Ange, that high line up nearly to the halfway line at times, whereas Nuno was a low block, very well drilled defensively, well drilled as a team. And in the latter stages of Postecoglou's reign at Spurs, you looked at that Spurs team at time and you wondered what he was saying to the players, because positionally they were all over the place. So there's contrasting styles of management there. But he's got a good squad to work with, Postecoglou. He's got a good defence to work with. So from that point of view, he'll be hoping he can hit the ground running the way that he did with Spurs, actually, didn't he? When he first came into the club, they were outstanding, top of the table in those early months. So he'll be hoping for a similar run of results.
Yeah, you touch on the styles of play, Alan. I think Forest fans will want to see whether Ange does go to what he knows or whether he kind of meets somewhere in the middle, because he was famous, of course, at Tottenham at not always having a plan B. Will he have learnt from that experience, do you think, or do you expect him to go, that's the way we play, mate?
Yeah, that's what we do, mate. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He stuck with his principles. Well, I'll say he stuck with them. I mean, I think he adjusted a little bit as he went on in the Europa League. Now, in that final, there was the talk that Romero was calling the shots. He wanted to change the system, but we'll see. To go about his work in the way that he did at Spurs at times, with that high line, that adventurous approach. When it works, it looks great. When it doesn't work, I mean, you were showing some stats of Postecoglou's reign at Tottenham, and just over 100 games, and averaged conceding about 1.5 goals a game, which at a big club is unacceptable. And Forest have been, very tight at the back under Nuno, known for not giving too much away. So it's how he balances it, really, Dave. How he goes about this new challenge.
OK, the club want Postecoglou in place before they face Arsenal on Saturday. That's one of 4 straight away games in all competitions. How tough will it be to hit the ground running for Postecoglou? Yeah,
tough. The first matches after international breaks are notoriously unpredictable. I think difficult for coaches. They're welcoming players back in dribs and drabs. Some might be carrying a little knock. Some might have the hump because they haven't played. And managers don't have too much time to address all these different situations. And then going into a lion's den like Arsenal, the Arsenal fans will be giving him a few pelters, I'm sure. So not an easy challenge. So we'll wait and see whether he's in the dugout for that.
Yeah, we'll watch this space. We can head back to Forest training ground and speak to Anton Tolui. Anton, back with us. What can you tell us?
Ange Postecoglou is officially the new head coach of Nottingham Forest. The club has just released a statement confirming his appointment. Interestingly enough, in their statement, they go on and list all the things he's achieved in his career. The success in Brisbane, at Yokohama, at Celtic, of course, finishing 5th in his first season at Spurs before obviously going on to win the Europa League. No quotes for Ange Postecoglou in the statement just given to us by Nottingham Forest, but there are quotes from the owner, Evangelos Marinakis, who's made this decision to part company with Nuno Espirito Santo and bring in Ange Postecoglou. I'll give you his quotes in full. He says, "We are bringing a coach to the club who has a proven and consistent record of winning trophies. His experience of coaching teams at the highest level, along with his desire to build something special with us at Forest, makes him a fantastic person to help us on our journey and achieve consistently on all of our ambitions." After gaining promotion to the Premier League, then building consistently season after season to secure European football, we now must take the right step to compete with the very best and challenge for trophies. Ange has the credentials and the track record to do this, and we're excited he is joining us on our ambitious journey. So it seems as though it's pretty obvious. Ange Postecoglou is being brought in because Nottingham Forest want silverware. Marinakis said at the Europa League draw a week and a half ago, he doesn't just want to go deep in that competition, he wants to win that competition. Well, he's bringing in the head coach that won that competition last season. He's bringing in a head coach that's won in Australia, in Japan, in Scotland, with Australia, and now obviously with Tottenham as well. So he's hoping that this Nottingham Forest team will take the next step in its evolution, not just going from surviving relegation, not just going from the outskirts of European competition and getting into the Europa League. He's aiming for the very top. And Marinakis clearly thinks Ange Postecoglou is the man that is going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly hints at Marinakis' ambition, doesn't it? The way he's talking there about trophies and silverware and that Postecoglou has done it. But I guess Postecoglou last year at Tottenham kind of divided opinion, didn't he? Because yes, he won the Europa, but 17th place and the Premier League campaign was a bit disastrous. How do you think Forest fans are going to view this appointment?
I think they're going to be a little bit confused by the logic behind it, considering Nuno Espirito Santo is such a popular figure here, taking the team from 17th in the table all the way up to European football. But at the same time, I think Forest fans knew that the writing was on the wall as soon as Espirito Santo went public with his criticisms and worries around his relationship with the owner, and obviously the transfer business being done later in the window. However, Ange Postecoglou will come in with a team which has had an extra £180 million worth of investment during the summer and go, do you know what? This team, I think I can bring an attacking brand to this team that has been lacking for some time. They're pragmatic football under Steve Cooper in the Premier League. They're pragmatic football under Nuno Espirito Santo when they went up further into the Premier League. Obviously now they're looking for a little bit more style. They've got 9 forwards at this football club, each of whom could easily start in the Premier League or in the Europa League this season. They've spent millions and millions of pounds on the likes of Amari Hutchinson for £35 million, Dylan Bakwa for £35 million, Igor Jesus, who was scoring goals at the Club World Cup, James McAtee, Arno Kaliuwendo as well. They've spent so much on attackers this window. Ange Postecoglou is seen as the guy who's going to come in, find the right formula, and also get the most out of players they've given new contracts to him, Morgan Gibbs-White and Callum Hudson-Odoi as well. It's a new era in Nottingham Forest. It's going to be some new look football at Nottingham Forest. Whether it's successful, we wait to find out. The first game is a fascinating one, isn't it? Ange Postecoglou, the former Tottenham boss, takes his new Nottingham Forest side to the Emirates to take on Arsenal at Saturday at 12:30.
Yeah, that's a huge game, and he hasn't shied away from it, has he, that Arsenal away? But after that, Anton, 2 promoted sides in the league in Burnley and Sunderland. So I guess, you know, anything at Arsenal was a bonus, but after that, an opportunity to make an instant impact.
Yeah, exactly that. And then you've got the European campaign starting with a difficult trip to Betis as well. So it's going to be, look, that's what Nottingham Forest want, right? They kind of feel they're a little bit behind where they should be in the Premier League after that defeat to West Ham right now. And as we saw, Nottingham Forest missed out on the top 5 last season by a single point. So there is going to be pressure straight away on Ange Postecoglou to put Nottingham Forest back up the table, because clearly the owner is very, very ambitious. He doesn't want them to just sit around 7th, 8th this season. He wants to see them fly up the table or win something big this season. It's interesting because teams who enter Europe pretty much for the first time, the average drop-off when they enter the European competitions, the teams outside the Big Six, is 10 points from season on season. Nottingham Forest can't afford to do that this season. If they are, they will be out of the European competitions next season unless they win the Europa League. Ange Postecoglou has been brought in because they don't want to see that traditional drop-off from teams that go into the European competitions. They want to see the progress that's been made over the last 3 years.
OK, as for the man himself, I mean, Postecoglou, one of the big characters in recent Premier League. Welcome back to Lunchtime Live. A reminder of the big breaking news. Ange Postecoglou has officially been appointed as the new Nottingham Forest head coach. For more on this, we can go live to the Forest training ground and rejoin our reporter Anton Toloui. Anton, good to see you again. How surprised are you rather at the quick nature of this turnaround?
Football's a brutal sport, right, David? All of a sudden, Nuno Espirito Santo was here at the training ground yesterday. By the time he left, he was out of a job, and all of a sudden, Ange Postecoglou is in a job. What 18 hours it has been in Nottingham Forest. In the last few minutes, we got confirmation from the club in a statement. Interestingly enough, that statement goes through all the things that Ange Postecoglou has won during his career. His success in Brisbane, his success at Yokohama, the fact he won the double, then the treble at Celtic, finishing 5th in his first season at Spurs, and then going on to win Europa League in his second season. And we've also got quotes, not from Ange Postecoglou in the statement, but from the club's owner, Evangelos Marinakis, who's decided to switch head coaches. Interestingly enough, he says, "We are bringing a coach to the club who has a proven and consistent record of winning trophies. His experience of coaching teams at the highest level, along with his desire to build something special with us at Forest, makes him a fantastic person to help us on our journey and achieve consistently all of our ambitions." He goes on to say, after gaining promotion to the Premier League, then building consistently season after season to secure European football, we now must take the right step to compete with the very best and challenge for trophies. Ange has the credentials and the track record to do this. We're excited he is joining us on our ambitious journey. So it's pretty obvious, isn't it? The owner wants Nottingham Forest to continue their development up the Premier League and to continue winning trophies. We heard from him just over 10 days ago when he was at the Europa League draw out in Monaco, and he was pretty open about the fact that, yeah, he's not just there to make up the numbers. He wants this Nottingham Forest team to go deep in the competition and to go on to win it. He's now got the coach, obviously won the competition last season, but as we were saying, he hasn't just won the Europa League, he's also won at every club he's been at.
What do we know, Anton, about the relationship between Marinakis and Postecoglou?
It's one of mutual respect. Look, I think a lot of people have put 2 and 2 together and got 5 here, because obviously, look, Ange Postecoglou was born in Athens, spent the first few years of his life there before he emigrated with his family to Australia. And obviously, Evangelos Marinakis is Greek himself. And obviously, there's a connection there. And the fact that the two met up at an award ceremony in the summer where Evangelos Marinakis gave Postecoglou an award for being the first Greek-born head coach to win a European club competition. However, obviously, I think, look, you're looking at this, and people thinking that, and that's why he's here. That isn't why he's here. Look, he's been brought in because of his track record of winning trophies, as the statement says, but also the fact of the style of football he's hoping to bring to the club.
And so I'm just wondering whether he comes back with a point to prove, Ange Postecoglou, given everything that happened at Spurs.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely, because you could tell he was getting increasingly cantankerous at times about, the fact he was being asked questions about his tactics, the players he was playing, the fact he was 17th in the Premier League last season, and obviously he would argue, look, I had to write off the season because what was happening at Tottenham, and then obviously focus on the Europa League, which they eventually won. And as Ange is quite a boisterous person at times, isn't he? He will come out and say, look, I win trophies in my second season, and that's exactly what he did. Here, it's an exciting and potentially interesting project here, isn't it? Because of the investment they put in the team, because of the ambition of the club, not just to grow the team, but to grow the squad, to grow the women's team, to grow the sort of area around the City ground. There are big plans at Nottingham Forest. Evangelos Marinakis obviously wants to add silverware to this club as well. It's been an accelerated growth over the last few years here at Nottingham Forest after being in the Championship for so long. But they have an owner that's not impatient, but he just wants success now. And he obviously sees the man that he's brought in, Ange Postecoglou, as the guy to do so. He clearly isn't put off by the fact that it didn't end so well at Tottenham Hotspur. He's clearly looking at his trophy cabinet that he's won. Look, he won out in Australia. He won with Australia. He won in Japan. He won so much at Celtic. He obviously did win something at Tottenham Hotspur, their first major trophy for 17 years. That is the kind of thing that Evangelos Marinakis now wants at Nottingham Forest. He feels this club is ready to start winning silverware. That's why he's gone for the Aussie.
Yeah, so Anton, we've heard from Evangelos Marinakis those comments about the reasons he brought in Postecoglou. When are we likely to hear from the new Forest head coach?
Well, he's still inside there at the moment. He watched training a little bit earlier, sort of arrived 10 minutes after the training session started. At the moment, he'll be in there having his lunch and getting to know the first team players that aren't on international duty right now. So the likes of kind of Callum Hudson-Odoi and the club captain Ryan Yates and that kind of thing. He'll be getting to know them. And then he'll be working on a game plan for that huge game against Arsenal on Saturday. A revenge match potentially for Ange Postecoglou, the former Tottenham head coach, who's never beaten Arsenal in the Premier League. Played 4, lost 3, drawn once. He hasn't got a dub on that record, has he? But he's hoping to do that with Nottingham Forest this weekend. Look, he's obviously wanting to sort of, break the record, I suppose, that people have about him, and obviously just try and get this club to where the owner wants to be. He'll be really, really looking forward to this project and this grudge game on Saturday, because Ange Postecoglou is a determined, steely man that will want the best for this team, and he loves a fight in a competition.
Anton, great stuff. Thank you very much.